Hello, a very warm welcome. After a long time, amidst all the confusion, Mahatma Gandhi University has notified its PhD registration 2020. For those scholars who are ready with their research proposal and those who have got approval from a particular research guide, it's well and fine. They can submit their proposals and register for this PhD program. But for those who are not ready with this month is going to be a very hectic one, because the last date they have put 31st July of this month, and within this month you have to submit 3 copies of your research proposal along with the guide's consent letter as well as the consent letter from the research center. So this year it's going to be a very tight competition, because as you all know, from next year onwards, PhD is a must if you want to become a professor in a college or a university, whatever. So competition is going to be tough. And for those scholars who are ready with their research proposal and those who are ready with their research guide, it's an easy thing. You can just apply whatever formalities they are given and you can register for this program. But for those who are not ready with their research proposal, it's going to be a very hectic month, because the last date is 31st of July. And within that, you have to prepare your research proposal, 3 copies of your research proposal along with your research guide's consent letter as well as the consent letter from the research center. All these along with many other documents you have to submit before 31st of July. Especially in this corona confusion, this time is actually not enough, because you have to scan, you have to email all these documents as well as you have to send the hard copy. Hope they will extend the last date. But whatever it is, we have to keep in mind 31st July is the last date for your submission, and before that you have to complete all this process without any flaw, without any mistake. You have to submit all this, because incomplete applications will be rejected naturally. So all these things you have to do within this month, in this time of pandemic. So it's a very short period. With a cool mind, you have to go through the process. You have to be very careful while submitting your research proposal. So we'll just have a look at what all steps you have to do this month. You needn't be in a hurry, but you must be very careful while submitting your research proposal. So we'll just have a look at what are the eligibility criteria, the mode of admission, and what is the vacancy list available, what about the research guide and everything, a research center. We'll just have a quick view. We'll move on to the mode of admission. The mode of admission depends on the entrance test as well as the doctoral committee interview. Those who have cleared the entrance test with 50% marks are eligible to register for this PhD program. SC/ST candidates and OBC candidates with non-creamy layer certificate, they need only 45% marks minimum. And even differently abled scholars, they need 45% marks. And even for doctoral committee interview, regular students, category students need 50% marks minimum to qualify, and SC/ST candidates and OBC candidates with non-creamy layer certificate as well as differently abled scholars need only 45% minimum. So the net thing is, for the entrance as well as the doctoral committee interview, you have to score 50% and above. And for the SC/ST candidates and OBC candidates, 45% is enough. So that is the mode of selection. So even if you have cleared the entrance test, the rest depends on your research proposal. How you submit your research proposal, how power-packed is your research proposal, and how you present it in front of the doctoral committee. So those who have cleared the entrance test, their next aim should be how to prepare for the presentation of their research proposal. So let's move on to the other part of. Once you have cleared the entrance test, that test is valid for 2 years, it seems. So within these 2 years of stipulated time, you can apply for PhD registration as and when the university calls for. So once you qualify the entrance test, it's valid for 2 years. That's what they are saying. So let's move on to the other part of the application. Now let's have a look who all are exempted from the entrance test. A whole lot of category students are exempted. That is, the MPhil holders are exempted. Even the MPhil holders who are awaiting their results, they can apply for registration. NET, SLET, GATE, GPAT, JEST, so many holders are exempted. For modern medicine, Ayush, dentistry, for those MD, MS, MDS, all these are exempted from writing this exam. Scientists from accredited R&D institutions are exempted. DST, Women Scientist Awardees, are exempted. Regular and permanent teachers from university departments as well as from government and aided colleges under the University of Mahatma Gandhi are exempted from writing this exam. UGC, CSIR, Inspire and so many other fellowship holders, you just have a look at it, and even MTech holders are exempted from. DST, Women Scientist Awardees, are exempted. RGNF Fellowship Awardees and so many awardees like this, you better have a look personally. Foreign students duly selected by MOU or recommended by UCIC are exempted from writing this exam. So there are a whole lot of category in maybe I have slipped something, so you have to personally go through the notification before having a look whether you are exempted from. You better go through the notification yourself to make sure whether you are exempted or not. So if you are exempted from the entrance exam, that means you have to be worried about the doctoral committee. So the first and the foremost thing is the research proposal is the most important thing while you are submitting for PhD registration, because that thing shouldn't be rejected by the doctoral committee, and for that you have to give enough time, enough homework you have to do while preparing the research proposal. I have already uploaded a video on how to prepare your research proposal. It might be of use for some of you, so you can have a look. I am providing the link in the description box below. Research proposal, as I have told you earlier, it's maximum information in minimum words. They have MG University has given the format, that is 5 pages. Your research proposal shouldn't exceed 5 pages. So you should never ever cross that limit. It should be within 5 pages, and the proceedings also they have given. What are the formats also they have given. You have to stick to that format, and be sure that the title, which should be short yet concise. It should contain everything, whatever your ideas are. And while selecting the topic also, you should be very careful. It should be your area of interest. It should not be the area of interest of someone else or your research guide. After all, you have to do the research, and later if you're not careful while selecting the topic, the rest 2-3 years will be hell for you. So better choose a topic of your area of interest, and of course the research guide should also be interested in that area, and very few are lucky enough to have such a combination where your area of interest and the research guide's area of interest goes well together. But still you have to do your research, and even if your area of interest you're not getting as a topic, you should be careful. You should at least be you should be careful in this thing, that at least you should be competent enough to do that in that area. Otherwise, you please don't select that area. Even if it's not of your interest, you should be competent enough If you are not competent enough to complete it within 3 years, then you better not take a choice. Don't choose that topic. You wait for another 6 months and you prepare another topic, or you approach another person as your research guide. And the format for research proposal they have given, we'll just have a look. These are the details to be included on the facing sheet. That is, it should be superscribed as a research proposal. The name and address of the candidate, the discipline, that is your discipline, and the name of the research center which you are choosing, title of research work in boldface. You should never forget, they have asked it for in boldface, and your area of research. This you have to mention in the facing sheet. And then the introduction including related studies, that is the literature review, what has already been done in that area, that has to be mentioned, right? Introduction should be given, why you are, what is that your project, what you are planning to do, and importance of the study, that is why it is contemporary, why you are planning to do research in that, and only if you have done your only if you have done your literature review properly, you will be able to say that what has already been done in this area, and why I am selecting this, why my area of interest is of importance. That you have to mention properly. That is a very important part. And the objectives and the hypothesis. For science students, naturally they'll be having hypothesis. For literature students, hypothesis needn't be there. Then methodology, including what all steps, whether it is qualitative or quantitative methodology, the sample and the design of work you are planning to do, and the tentative work schedule, that is year wise, what all you will be doing. You have to have a plan, that this first year you will be doing so and so, and the second year and the third year you will be spending for this. You have to have a master plan before starting your research. Even though you are not started yet, but then you have to have a plan, because without proper planning your research won't be complete within 3 years. And of course the bibliography, the reference, that is the bibliography is a must, because that shows that what all articles, what all research papers you have read in that area. And then only you will be able to know what has to be done and what have already been done. So the bibliography you shouldn't cut and paste from someone else, because usually it is seen, but then in the doctoral committee they can ask anything from anywhere. Don't mention any paper which you have not read until and unless you have read that research paper or that particular book. You have to mention in that bibliography. Even if your bibliography is short, it's okay, because it's a synopsis, but don't overcrowd your bibliography with books which you have not read and which you have not gone through. That will create a negative image, and your doctoral committee members will straight away reject your proposal. So these are the things which you have to be careful while submitting your research proposal. That is, for a start right from the introduction, the methodology you are going to use, the year-wise planning what you are going to do, and the bibliography. You should be very careful while submitting your bibliography. Even if it's short, it doesn't matter. It has to be truthful. It should contain books or research papers which you have gone through properly. Otherwise, the doctoral committee members will straight away reject your proposal. So these are the things you have to be careful. If you have not yet prepared, don't worry, don't panic. Take your own time, with a cool mind you prepare. And as I have told in my earlier video, that if your ideas might be good, you might be having great ideas for doing research, but if your literature part is not proper, you don't know how to present it properly, then you please take help from someone, some teacher or some research guide or some other scholar who is well in presenting things. Because the way you present it in 5 pages, it should include everything, and they shouldn't reject your proposal. This is a golden opportunity for you to pursue your research. And the next important thing is the research guide. Getting a comfortable research guide is very important while doing research. MG University has given a proper list of the vacancies which are there. You can find the name of the research guides available and the research centers where they are teaching. So you can have a look at it. There are pretty number of vacancies. The maximum a professor can guide is 8 students. Associate professor can guide 6 and assistant professor can guide 4 research scholars. The list they are given, it is according to the June they have taken the list, but it is provisional. That is what they are saying. Vacancies might arise. So even if you find your subject a nil vacancy or very little vacancy, you have to use all your contacts and you have to call personally the research guides and ask whether any vacancy is arising. And this you have to do within this month. That is very important. Those who can go to the research centers, you please go there, and while you go, take the format downloaded from the university where you have to get signed by the research guide. So if you are lucky enough, when you go to the research center, you get permission from a research guide, then you can better get it signed, that consent letter. And even the consent letter of the research center. So these two you have to take along with you when you go to a research guide, when you approach a research center. The vacancy list I have seen, I have gone through it. Actually, they should mention even the area of research of that particular teacher, because in every subject research guides will be having different area of research. Even if, like in literature, if you see, literature itself, some might be interested in comparative literature, some might be interested in linguistics, some might be interested in postmodern literary theories, and so many things like that. So the students won't be knowing what are the area of research, area of interest of the research guide. So it's nice if the universities display that also. Students can approach, like if some teacher is interested in nanotechnology, naturally a student who is interested in that particular area can actually approach that guide. So that transparency should be there. Anyway, they have at least given the vacancy details. Some universities, they don't even mention the research guide's name or their center. So it's very difficult for scholars to approach the research guide. And it's a very tedious work approaching a research guide and getting the permission. Hope all of you get research guides according to your choice. In fact, in certain subjects I have seen there are so many vacancies. Maybe because after a long time we got our placement promotion, UGC placement promotion, and many of assistant professors got promoted recently as associate professors. So associate professors can actually accommodate 6 research scholars. So I think that's why a huge rise is also seen in the vacancy position. And many subjects are there, many new subjects I am seeing in this Mahatma Gandhi University. Unfortunately, my subject Hindi is not there. So unfortunate, Mahatma Gandhi University, our Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi was the one who was adamant in spreading Hindi in the southern area. He was the one who founded Dakshin Bharat Hindi Pracha Sabha, and unfortunately Mahatma Gandhi University doesn't have Hindi as a subject, doesn't have a Hindi department in that university. That's very unfortunate. But anyway, other subject students can apply. You go through the notification personally, because I might have slipped, because I can't remember all these things. You go through it personally and have a look, and with a cool mind, a whole lot of documents you have to submit. You have to scan all this. That's a tedious process. Those who have printers at home, it's well and fine, but others have to scan all the documents. A great list of documents are there. That is right from your SSLC, your PG mark list, your degree certificate, and then your entrance result, your consent letter of the guide, your research center consent, your MPhil certificate, your Aadhaar card, and so many things are there to upload. So hope they will extend the last date, because 31st July is not enough, I think, in this situation. Because when you are to keep social distancing, the time should be extended. Hope they will extend, and you do have a look at my video regarding how to write your research proposal. Cost of application is ₹30, and the fee structure for general category students it is 1050, and for SC/ST candidates it's 790, and it's all through the e-payment system. The fees can be remitted only through the e-payment system, and you have to submit the fee challan along with your application. So once you go through you clear the doctoral committee, you get their approval, you register for the PhD program, you have to go through the coursework, and that and all is later stage. We needn't discuss it here. You will be having a coursework naturally, and then the duration they are telling, 3 years you will be given for doing research. For regular students, 3 years, and you have to complete it within 3 years. Better complete it within 3 years, because lagging means your topic will become old. You yourself will feel that your topic is becoming old. You will get bored. So finish it within 3 years. In case you are not able to complete, maximum time they are giving is 6 years, and for part-time their maximum time is 8 years they are giving. And for MPhil scholars, for 3 years, before 3 years, that is 2.5 years, they can submit their thesis for MPhil holders. Again, for women candidates, a relaxation of again 2 years is given, and for people with disability, more than 40% disability, they are given little more time, 2-year relaxation for research. That is the relaxation what you get. But better complete it within 3 years, and MPhil holders complete it within 2.5 years, because you have to go for your employment also. You are not going to do research throughout your life. You can do research, further research, you can do postdoctorate also after you join a college. And a whole set of category teachers and all are given permission for part-time research. We will have a look at it. The regular and permanent teachers of statutory departments of all universities in Kerala, regular and permanent teachers of government-aided colleges within the state, permanent teachers of government-aided schools in the state. So school teachers also, permanent school teachers, permanent teachers of central Sainik Navodaya schools of the state, permanent teachers of IHRD colleges within the state, permanent teachers of government-aided polytechnic institutions in the state, teachers of unaided colleges and unaided wing of aided colleges affiliated to any of the universities in the state, including deemed universities, and have put in a continuous period of 2 years service at the time of registration. So these category of teachers, so that's a new knowledge for me. That is the unaided college teachers also, as well as the school teachers, the Navodaya school teachers. The only thing, they should be permanent teachers, and even they are allowed to do part-time research. So that's a good thing, good news for school teachers as well as the polytechnic teachers and the unaided college wings and teachers. A full-time research scholar, for them there is restriction in employment. That is, you can't pursue any job and then you can't do your full-time research. For full-time researchers, there is restriction in pursuing your employment. So you be careful. So you better be alert of it. If you are employed somewhere, you can't join a full-time research program. After you get registered in your PhD program, do put your comment in your comment box. I will be happy enough. Till then, bye.